I figured out how to make this crunchy beef jerky style snack that's lion diet, carnivore diet friendly and really easy to make using an air fryer. So what I've done is I took the tray out of my air fryer. If your air fryer has smaller trays than this, you might have to do it in a couple of hits, which ain't going to be as good, to be honest, because this already takes quite a long time. But this is a lot quicker than any of the other ways of making beef jerky that I've seen online. So what I've done is I cut out some baking paper to the size of my air fryer's tray, and then I'm fitting this in here. And the reason why I'm sharing this video as well is because when you're on the carnivore diet, if you're not having eggs and dairy, or if you're on the lion diet, almost everything that you eat has exactly the same texture. So notice, by the way, that's 5% fat minced beef, yeah? And then I'm just spreading this out over the liner. Yeah, everything has pretty much the same texture, and so you don't really get to eat things that are crunchy like you used to have with crackers or crisps or something like that, and you don't really get to chew on anything anymore. It's all, when you do, it's all the same texture, isn't it? All meat is pretty much the same. This is totally different, and this comes out really nice. So you notice I've just been really putting the effort in to make sure that's evenly spread. You don't want bits that are sticking up. And then I've got a pizza cutter and I'm cutting this into strips. But yeah, make sure that that is really evenly spread. If you've got a rolling pin, that would probably work for this. I don't have one, so I just done it by hand, and it didn't take that long. So yeah, I'm just doing this in strips here. So I'm going to go along, and then I'm going to go across the other way in a minute as well, so that we can break these up and store them. It really saves a lot of time if you do this now, instead of trying to cut this up with scissors or something after. This will make it a lot easier. Plus, it's going to make it easier for a piece of this later on, where you need to spin them all over so that it will crisp up a bit more. So yeah, you see what I've done there. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then after that, I've added some salt. And I've added a lot of salt here, but to me, this is more of a snack. This isn't something that I'm looking as my main meal or something like that. This is more for if I just want to have a snack, I'll have this, so I don't mind that there's too much salt on it. Probably did go a little bit OTT, to be honest, but it also helps dry the meat out when it's cooking as well. So then I've just cut off this excess baking paper because I don't want it to touch the top because it will burn. And then I'm putting it on at 110 for 1 hour. The reason I've done it like that is because, to be honest, it won't cook for any longer than that in my air fryer, than an hour. So then I've just turned it over, and now I'm just salting the other side. Didn't put as much salt on this side because I'd already put a ridiculous amount on the other side. And then same thing, 110 for an hour. If you've got more time, cooking at a lower temperature for longer will probably make it come out better. But I didn't want to tie this up because I was hungry and I wanted to use it to actually cook some regular food as well. And then I'm just snapping that apart. So you see where we carved those lines in it earlier? It makes it really easy to just pull that apart. And then I'm spreading them out so that they'll cook evenly. And then that's going to go back in the air fryer for 5 minutes at 110. No, 20 minutes at 110. And then I have that out of there. And that's pretty much done, to be honest. But what I like to do is if I turn them all over at this point, then I can put them back in for a little while. And then I'll make them a little bit more crispy if I cook them a little bit hotter. So I've already took a lot of the moisture out. So now I think it was 130 for 5 minutes, I believe. We will see. Because I remember I had to tilt the camera up afterwards. Yeah, 5 minutes. And then that's done. Now what I done is I just left that to cool for quite a while. I didn't want it to be too hot for when I put them in here. So now I'm just putting them in this little plastic container and sort of slotting them in. And then putting the lid on, and then that goes into my fridge at the top. And then they can just live there, and then whenever I want a snack, I can just eat it. And what I've done now is I've kept the audio on here, hopefully. You'll be able to hear. Not sure if you can hear that, but there was a bit of a crunch there. I also thought it was funny when I sped up the chewing part. Can you hear the crunch, hopefully? So like I say, you don't get that sort of texture on anything else that you cook. It's nice when it's sort of dehydrated like that. And then I guess I forgot to edit out the rest of this footage. So I'm going to end the video off here, but this is really nice. Give it a go. If you want to have something with a bit of a different texture and you've got a few hours where you don't need to be using your air fryer, give it a go. Highly recommend it.